Welcome back to the Manc Entrepreneur YouTube channel, and in today's episode I'm answering the question, should you have a co-founder? Now this is a question which I've seen asked numerous times, and one that I've been asked myself numerous times, and therefore felt it would be good to get a recorded answer out there, since I'm guessing you may be thinking this as well, or maybe asking yourself this same question. So this basically boils down to the fact that when you start your business in whatever it is that you want to do, are you going to walk that path alone, or are you going to have a partner in crime to walk it with you? Now, I've previously worked alone as a consultant. I was self-employed, doing my own thing, and for the past 5 years I've also been working with Matt, who you've met in several videos, and we've been a partnership. We've been running a business, but co-founders and directors of said business, which leads me to have had experience in both situations. One where I was walking the path alone, and one where I had Matt with me, or a co-founder, and so that is what I'm going to be basing my opinion off when I try and answer this question for you. Now, the easiest way that I could do this is to split this into pros and cons. Now, I'm going to start with the cons because there's less of them. From what I could think of over the space of about half an hour trying to think on this subject, I could only come up with one con. And that ultimately is that the decision making is shared. Now, that means that basically any direction of the business that you want to take needs to be mutually agreed upon with your co-founder, and that is I'm assuming right now that it's a 50-50 split, and that you've both got equal say and equal rights in how this works. So decision making is shared, and that means that you may, or at some point there's going to be some disagreements on the direction the business should take, or the way that the business should work, or decisions that ultimately affect the running of the business. That is a con, because ultimately that can lead to awkward conversations, or just the feeling that you aren't totally in control. If you want to be an entrepreneur, chances are that you are a bit of a control freak, like to be in control, like to have the final say, and therefore the judge, be the judge, jury, and executioner of the path that you take. When you have a co-founder, you have to have that other person agree with you. You need to be in agreement, and that is potentially a stumbling block. Now, I'll hold my hands up right now and be 100% honest with you. I have never had that problem with Matt in the past 5 years of running the business that we do together. Decision making is shared, and by all means we don't always agree on certain things, but ultimately if we ever have the debate where we're sort of talking one thing to the other, one of us has usually missed something and can convince the other one of the thing that we've missed and bring them on board very quickly. Me and Matt have never had an incident where we've argued at a point for days and weeks and months, and it's been a major hurdle. It doesn't happen. We've had discussions which maybe last half an hour, and after that we've agreed and we're moving on. Now onto the pros. And we're going to start with number one. Number one pro: decision making is shared. Yes, it is also a pro. If you think about the weight on your shoulders as an entrepreneur to actually make the decisions 100% on what you think is right, and I'll be honest again, 100% transparency on this YouTube channel is that there's times when, as an entrepreneur, you're not going to have the answer, and you're going to have to guess or make your best guess as to what is the right thing to do. Now, when you have a co-founder, it adds that little bit of weight to what you're thinking. If you're both thinking the same thing, great. That's just further validation that what you thought was right, and you can move on. And if it isn't, that means that he's potentially, as I just mentioned, seen something that you haven't, and therefore it saves you potentially a headache or a heartache further down the line. So having that other person at the table, at that director level, co-founder level, makes a big difference. And like I said, for me, that the decision making being shared is a pro and a con, and they cancel each other out. On to the next point for being a pro. Entrepreneurship can be a lonely place to be. And I mean, there's certain topics around that which again I've considered covering in a video, but I've not got around to it yet. But ultimately, just having that one person who is sat next to you in the trenches, you know, dealing with what you've got, you know, what you've got going on, and it is hard. Like I said, in those early stages of starting any business, it is hard, especially if you've got no money, if you're just bootstrapping it. Having that one person sat next to you in the same boat as you, going through the same shit, makes a big difference. And that alone can be worth its weight in gold. I know that if ever I'm having a down day, I can call Matt and we'll have a chat, and Matt will inadvertently make me feel a million times better within 10-15 minutes, because anything that I'm worried about, he also knows that I'm worried about it, but he makes me feel a million times better about it just because he knows how I'm thinking and I know how he's thinking. Having that relationship in an entrepreneurial journey does make things a lot easier. Entrepreneurship is hard. It's fun. Don't get me wrong, it's fun, but there are times when it's hard, and there's a reason why it's not for everyone. Having that person next to you at that time makes a big difference. Next up is having a second pair of eyes, or just having a second brain. Ultimately, having two sets of people, different backgrounds, different experiences, means that there's so much more that comes out as a result of that. You know, new ideas come from different people. Again, I have ideas which Matt would never have, and Matt has ideas that I would never have. But together, we cover a lot together, if that makes sense. We there's two brains are better than one, as the saying goes, and for that reason, just alone having someone else there who, you know, is sort of on your level but has different experiences and different knowledge skill sets, basically means that you can tackle things together but covering more bases, utilizing your own experiences. Bringing two sets of experiences to the table can only be a good thing. And finally, point number 4, I think, for pros, is you cover more skill sets. And that is perhaps for me the big one, is that I am not techie at all. I'm not a coder, a developer by any means, and Matt is. Which means that Matt can do things in our business which otherwise I would have to go and pay someone else to do because I didn't know how to do it. Likewise, I am quite a good business development type person. I like to talk to people, I like to help people, I like to network, and ultimately the sales and marketing side of things is basically what I would consider I bring to the table. Matt has no real interest in that. He likes to go and build cool stuff with code and make it happen. I then get to go and basically market what he's been and built, and like I said, together we cover a wide set of skills between us, which again makes us more solid as a one unit. Separately, we would have a lot more weaknesses, whereas together we don't have as many weaknesses. We cover a lot more skill sets between us, which is a great thing to have. And that is perhaps the number one point. If you're looking for a co-founder, you want to bring on someone who is different to you, has a different way of thinking. Me and Matt are very different in the way that we think about things. Ultimately, we're very similar in some regards, but in sort of the business talk, we're very different. But ultimately, our skill sets, we complement each other massively. My weaknesses, Matt fills in for, and Matt's weaknesses, I fill in for, which again just makes us a well-rounded tool. So for me, I would say, should you be looking for a co-founder? If you can, yes. If it makes sense for your business, then yes, absolutely. Just having to not walk that road alone as an entrepreneur is it's nice to have someone else with you, and making sure that they complement your skill sets, as we just said, fill in your knowledge gaps and your ability gaps. If you can crack that and find that perfect co-founder, you are onto a winner. With that said, if you've got any questions about anything I've said in this episode, let me know in the comment section down below. I'll happily get back to you as quickly as I can. If you've got any sort of concerns or anything like that, again, let me know. Or you can message me directly on the About tab on the YouTube channel. You'll find my email in there, or send me a message privately. With that said, I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope it's given you something to consider. If you have, hit that like button and subscribe if you are new. I do try and post new content every single weekday. And with that said, as always, I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.